Got my G.I. Joes, got my comic books, watching cartoon episodes. Watch me go and box, dead stop, Jaren on his toes. Watch me go and lock a whole new world you never know. On my freaking block, on my block, anything Joe's. Roll my badger into work today. Yes, sir, no, sir. I can't call this work today. I'm too clutch. Ain't no pun intended. Call me sir today. Check the prices out. My collection feeling bird today. Anything Joe.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Anything Joe's, a collaborative journey through the world of G.I. Joe. My name is Greg Engel.
And I'm Jaren Decker.
And we'll be your host today. Today on Anything Joe's, we're going to recount our trip to Winterfest 2025. It's the first G.I. Joe show of the year for us, and it's the smaller of the two that the Kentuckiana crew does. Sorry, I'm going to have to put a trigger warning on this episode because there is a lot of non-G.I. Joe toys involved in this. Jaren and I both picked up an unusual amount of, maybe 50-50 is my split. And that's crazy because I do not collect non-G.I. Joe stuff. So I'm just giving you a heads up, if you're like a only single track G.I. Joe guy, there might be some parts in here that you skip over. It won't hurt my feelings if you're just like, I don't like other toys, and I don't even want to listen to people talk about them. But there's still a lot of G.I. Joe stuff in here. A lot of times the stuff I buy that's not G.I. Joe I am purposing for G.I. Joe anyway. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about the setup. Every year that we go to either of these events, there's always a little bit of like, we don't exactly know what we're doing until it's here. This was no different. The morning of the show, as I'm getting ready to go to sleep to prepare to charge up, Jaren has decided that he doesn't want to leave until after work, which is fine because I didn't know what we were doing. But it worked out fine because we got there basically just in time to like put our stuff in the hotel room. We once again roomed with Joel from Order of Battle because he's basically our third guy. Like he's part of the team. We go everywhere with him and shop everywhere with him. He's a bad influence. A lot of this stuff, I'll show you a lot of stuff that he talked me into buying. I need to get a fourth person that could talk me out of buying stuff I don't need. But we roomed with him, and of course, we stayed at the hotel that's located directly beside the convention center. And I will now launch into a very long discussion about why that hotel is so miserable.
From that hotel.
We get to the hotel. I'm not even going to get into the debacle that they wouldn't give us a fourth key. There are 4 of us here, and the guy was adamant that only 3 people could be in the room. This is really Joel's story because he gets very hot about it, which entertains me tremendously. But basically, they were just like, you cannot have 4 people in the room. And we're like, okay, well, there will be 4 people in this room. We'll take 3 keys is basically what it came down to. We get into the room. There's only 1 bed. So we have a pull-out couch, and that's it. I mean, there's a chair, and that was left for Jaren and I to divide amongst ourselves. And Jaren, of course, is always a nice guy. He looks at my poor, frail old man body and says, you can take this couch. I know he did it in good faith, but it really wasn't a blessing. The couch was the most miserable thing I've ever slept on. The bed was so wavy that I would wake up thinking I was falling off of it because it had that big of a peak and a valley in it. And I didn't sleep much anyway. So I was up at I think I got up about 3:30 that morning. I was just bopping around on the TV playing the Nintendo Switch and just watching random stuff on television. That part of it was miserable. It was horrible. I was like a zombie for the first half of the day. But it was really the only horrible thing about it. Jaren, if you have anything else you'd like to, we paid the money. We're allowed to trash talk the hotel.
Yeah.
Forever.
And we're not ever going back, so
we're not ever going back. So you guys can go to hell.
Because not only did it only have 1 bed, they didn't give us a 4th towel or 3rd towel. We only had two human-sized towels. We did not have any blankets.
No blankets. The pillows were sewn into the pull-out couch, so they could not be moved or really slept on, quite frankly. Yeah, I used my hoodie as just a makeshift blanket, even though it wasn't an uncomfortable temperature. I'm just like, I don't think I can sleep without a blanket, like the illusion of a blanket.
Yeah, so I took the floor, which I didn't realize was going to be the actually better of the two choices. But I mean, I've always been blessed as like a good sleeper. I can lay down and go to sleep anywhere at any time. So, yeah, I am definitely feeling like I'm getting older though. For the first time, I like woke up and I was like, oh man, my back kind of hurts.
Just wait till you start doing nothing, and it's like that. It's great.
Our room was something, and it was honestly hilarious because it was just like every, our TV was horrible. The remote didn't work for the TV. Like it was just like every little thing that could just not work. And then the elevator, it hadn't been inspected in like 2 years, maybe 3 years. I think
we pulled the couch out and there were blood stains. We hope, or blood stains on it. I'm just like, it was like a -2 out of a 10 experience. It was real bad. I was hesitant to eat the packaged breakfast strudel. I was just like, I'm not sure. I feel like if they would intentionally make them bad. So anyway,
that place was like, and the funniest thing, and I wish Joel could tell the story for all of you guys. Maybe they'll talk about it. It's like if you're familiar with the show Family Guy, it's like the Chicken and Peter Griffin rivalry that Joel has with this guy at the front desk. He doesn't vibe with Joel. Joel doesn't vibe with him.
Joel is looking up curse words in his native language. Like, it's really gone to another level.
Yeah.
The only good thing that came out of it was that morning I was like, I'm going to talk about this on the show with a passion that you've never seen before in your life. I'm just going to launch right into them. Other people that we know and hang out with at the show had gone to the other hotel, which is, I mean, you could see it from outside this hotel. It's still extremely close. And we didn't get that heads up, but for next year, we'll not be back to that hotel. And I don't recommend you go to it either, quite frankly. So take that, hotel. You didn't know we were the most modest level celebrities ever. We might have influenced up to 3 people to never come to your hotel ever again. All right, enough of that. Let's get into the show. We get to the show. This is the Colonel night. That's the Friday night. It's like a 3 or 4 hour preview that you pay extra for, and it's usually it's just like the hardcore guys. I've said this, that if you've ever listened to us go to one of these shows, you probably remember we learned that the preview night was actually 100% worth it. And we've gone to it ever since. I don't agree with it because I think it's overpriced a little bit and maybe not even necessary. I think the 1 hour early access would be plenty, at least for the smaller show. But I get it. It's a little bit of an opportunity to make more money. And I mean, who isn't doing that in the toy business? Who isn't trying to take advantage of me in this day and age? So we paid it. We're always going to pay it. I mean, I will be upfront. Like, I did almost all of my shopping that night. And we say this every year. The people that come in that day, I'm just like, you hear them asking for stuff we saw come and go. The best deals are already gone. If not from the customers, then other vendors. The Colonel event is a necessary evil if you're a serious collector like I am, or you're looking for a really aggressive deal. Not like I also am, but Jaren is too. Jaren, the cheap classified shopper, which we'll also get into. So we make it to the Colonel night. I'm not standing in line anymore. I'm just like, I'll get there around the time that they are opening the doors. I mean, what am I going to miss out on? And so we hit the ATM. We started seeing people, other people that we know from the show. I try to meet as many people that are regulars of the show as possible, because it is truly like a community, like it's just the closest like G.I. Joe family event that I get to go to. So we saw our friends Patrick and Barkley. We saw, I'm so sorry, I don't know his real name, but Rex Ship from Instagram, our good buddy. And his friends was there. We got to hang out with them. Of course, Jason, Joel's other half from Order of Battle, and Todd, all the other vendors. Lots of people that we know started seeing. We were seeing them before we even got in the door. We get into the door. We're ready to start shopping. I'm pretty hungry for it. I've been saving money up for a while. I've had a list for quite a while. I didn't do a lot of prep for this show. I'm glad, because as you'll learn, there wasn't a lot in there for me specifically, because I have a kind of a very specific list now. I don't expect to see stuff that's on my list anymore, or I expect to see it and know that it's out of the range. The Night Boomer, an infamously rare vintage vehicle that I've been pursuing for a long time, it was there. So it's not like there wasn't anything that was on my list. There was 3 of them there. I think they were all priced at $1,000 each. So that one's going to be... Well, actually, you know what? We'll talk about this in a minute also, but there was a Boomer shell there that I had a debate over. So let's talk about the show in general. The Winterfest show is only 1 room instead of 2, so it's half the vendors, maybe less than half. And the layout is very good. I actually filmed a walkthrough of the entire convention floor, which I'm probably showing now. If you'd like to watch it without our commentary, it's a completely separate video. It's just a literal half an hour, unedited, me walk in the door, I look at every single booth, I walk out the door. No talking, no commentary. It's just like I don't know, if you wanted to see everything that was there, if you want to put it on something in the background, I don't know. But it's there. You see a lot of cool stuff. But it's a small show. Especially compared to the other one, which I feel like is really blowing up, this show is still, it's toy focused. There are no celebrities, there are no guests. And they always say it's not a G.I. Joe exclusive show. It just happens to be something that Jaren and it's why I'm there. They do always have lots and lots and lots of other toy lines. And this year I found a lot of stuff, maybe because I wasn't finding the G.I. Joe stuff that I wanted, and that opens up my budget, as I'm sure you can understand. It gives me the freedom to just be like, well, okay, I'll just buy this. I'm buying something for sure. And I like this, so I'll take it. So, yeah, I was able to just go in and kind of wild with it. And Jaren was too. I'm very impressed with the stuff that Jaren got. And he'll talk at great length about that. We got to come up with a name for this classified crusade that you're on to catch them all at discounted rates or lower. Yeah. Jaren, what else what are your other thoughts on this show? I've already mentioned the size.
Before we get into super specifics or anything, I do think it is important to point out that we were missing 2 big vendors.
Yes.
Toy department is typically at this show. They weren't there. And then, of course, Roma Collectibles with Aaron, who passed away, unfortunately, which was, it was felt. You could feel the difference in the show. That was one absolutely. Less friend that we had. I feel like, not to spend too much time on it, I didn't know Aaron really well, but he was one of those guys that he made you feel like you were friends with him when you dealt with him. And so having that missing, it was definitely, his presence was missed at this show. So I think from just an overall show standpoint, that was probably one of the biggest things that made this show feel different. Because, not that the show was bad, but it did definitely feel different this year.
Yeah, to chime in on that, I haven't talked about Aaron at all. And, Aaron and I were not close friends. I don't even really know if he knew my first name, but I talked to him at every show. He's such a lovable and likable guy. I have so much Roma stuff. I have a Roma t-shirt that had a discount on it that Aaron gave me my very first Winterfest, before Winterfest, when it was just Kentuckiana. He gave me my very first deal at that show, and it had I remembered him. It made an impact on me. I can tell you what he sold me, what it sold for. He was giving out, he had made business cards for Roma, and it looked like a ticket to Cold Slither, and it's in my display case right now. So I do have a lot of great memories of Aaron. I didn't want to be, again, he didn't really know me, but that's what was so great about Aaron, is that everybody felt like you were his close friend. So he will be missed. He was missed at this show for certain. I overheard many people talking about him. What else about the show?
So I think the other, just from a standpoint, one of the things that's weird, and I think you'll notice it in the walkthrough if that's going on, and I might be wrong, but I believe this is the first time they've ever actually had multiple vendors in that hallway when you walk in. I know they normally have displays set up, but this time, honestly, it felt a little weird. You go into this hallway to walk in, and there's all these vendors that are staring at you in this little hallway, just you want to buy our stuff?
Yeah.
They were super nice. And actually, Greg, you did buy something from one of those vendors.
I did.
Not to jump ahead, but
that's okay.
it was different.
we'll just start breaking into it as it comes up, because we've got some specific booths to talk about and some stuff that wasn't relevant to us at all. But it occurs to me that you bring that up, that I wouldn't think that they oversold vendor space, but it's interesting that there's still, even with two big vendors missing, there's still enough demand. They filled the floor and then some. I would have to say, as a hallway vendor, it's a pro and a con. A lot of people are probably ready to get into the floor and they pass you by, but it's a guarantee that everybody looks at your product going in and going out no matter what. So I don't know. I don't know how I would feel about that as a vendor.
You know what? My like weirdest thing that I saw multiple vendors selling at the show, it was those wrestling buddies. I saw at least three different vendors selling. One of the people in the hallway had multiple wrestling buddies, and I saw somebody buying them, and he was like, "Yeah, I've got like this one, and now I've got these two," and I'm like, "That's cool," but it's like that's the thing that when we say it is a variety show, like it's not just a G.I. Joe show. It is an incredible G.I. Joe show, and if you're only there for Joes, there is stuff for you, but it doesn't matter what you're into. I mean, you can be into anything and you'll find something there. Like, it's crazy. So yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I could give you the like secondary pitch if you're not a G.I. Joe fan, and it's a great thing to do on a Saturday with your family. If you go to the regular admission Saturday at like 10, it's only like $5 or $10 to get in. You know, you walk around, there's so many good deals on the floor. It's truly one of the most aggressive shopping experiences if you are careful. Look at your vendors and know what's what. And but yeah, to speak to that, I'm just going to start naming stuff off that I saw, because I looked at everything. Obviously, there's a huge 12-inch G.I. Joe selection there, and there always will be. Regardless of what they say, that's still the foundation of the show, so it's not going anywhere. Tons of vintage vehicles for G.I. Joe. I mean, obviously, that's the second most prominent thing I think you'll see there, with a pretty good smattering of modern stuff here and there. Not really a lot of just modern vendors. You would see a lot of vintage and modern stuff being sold together. I saw a lot of great like 80s era, I mean like Care Bears, Garfield, Strawberry Shortcake, Rainbow Bright, Popples, a lot of like Barbie, not just, I won't want to say girl toys, but a lot, because I had a Popple as a kid, and if you got to judge that, then you better step to the plate. And so there was just a lot of like that older 80s like,
yeah,
that toy line. You don't see those type of toys. I saw a lot of toys that I was like, oh, I had these. There was a Get Along Gang stuffed animal there. Anyway, there's a lot of toys. I watched a lot of cartoons in the 80s, and there was a lot of toy lines from there that you don't see at toy shows very regularly. Joel bought an interesting like Disney's Black Hole toy. Just a lot of weird stuff like that. Wrestling buddies,
yeah.
Crochet dolls. A guy that was making 3D prints that were like life size with
incredible.
A working pit droid that he could animate from his phone. There was a bender that talked or something. I don't know what was going on. A lot of little, interactive toys.
He had like a bunch of helmets too.
What else? I mean, obviously a lot of new stuff. We saw classified stuff there. We saw Customz, Dio stuff.
There was one vendor that had a ton, and I mean a ton of mint on card Star Wars figures. It was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like they would have like low dollar yellowed like random figures that no one cared about, all the way up to like graded. They had a graded Boba Fett unpunched card. The thing was not yellowed. It was like it was beautiful. And they sold a decent amount. Like, I talked to the vendor. He's like, yeah, we sold like this whole stack over here. And I'm like, pretty sweet.
I was there for that.
Yeah,
so
there really is a variety. We cannot stress enough how much the variety is at that show.
Yeah, and the awesome thing is that stuff does not wither on the vine. People buy. I mean, you see high-end stuff. I mean, my eye would always be like, oh, that guy just bought a Night Raven. Good for him. You know what I mean? But you would see collectors of all ages buying stuff. Something I noticed this year while we're just having, I mean, this is going to be a very casual episode. We're just kind of breaking it down as it comes to mind. Something I saw this year that I'm sure is there every year, but I just really noticed is how much I loved seeing men that are older than me. I mean, I'm talking 10, 20 plus years. That's getting close to a corpse, but you know what I mean. And they were buying stuff for their 12-inch Joes, still. to what I would assume is keeping a childhood hobby of theirs alive. And that made me really happy because I thought, man, I hope that's me still living this dream, doing the con, just like it's keeping the inner child alive. I really enjoyed that. I wish I had gotten some more footage or just photos of that because it really made me light up. Yeah. All right, let's get into the nitty gritty. Now we're going to start talking about stuff that we saw that was extremely interesting, stuff that we bought. We'll split our recent acquisitions in half. I'll do my half, Jaren will do half. I'll do my last half, Jaren will do his last half. Because for once, Jaren and I both bought about an equal amount of stuff. Jaren bought more than he usually does, and I bought less than I usually do. As soon as we got into the floor, I always do a lap. If you don't do a lap when you get to a con, what are you doing? Don't buy anything until you know what everything is priced at. And I'm going to have to scratch that because on my second row, we talked to a guy, a vendor that I talk to all the time. His first name is Jimbo, and he's an awesome dude. If you listen to our last episode, he's the guy that I bought the big little plastic tub that had like X-Acto knives and spray paint and just it was just a huge hodgepodge of just random custom figures. I mean, like I always get an awesome amount of just random stuff from him, stuff to customize, stuff that's already so well customized. I'm like, I'm just going to make this guy somebody. He looks cool. I get stuff for my daughter to play with. It's always an awesome deal. He is setting up. He also notoriously is always setting up late and doesn't have everything else. Doesn't have everything out until sometime earlier Saturday. But what he does have out catches my eye. He has the new classified line, which is, I guess, hitting for some people and for not. And so he has newer stuff. And when I say newer stuff, I'm talking like Alpine and beyond. So I have Alpine, Storm Shadow, and all those. But what I didn't have, I was very surprised to see these. I did not have this Xandar. I did not have this Leatherneck. I was going to say Leatherhead. I had to look at his name.
And it's all the Ninja Turtles we played.
It is. That's never going to change. And I didn't have a Saw Viper. We don't normally see classified figures that are out faster than we can get them. Once in a blue moon, yes, Amazon will deliver 2 to 3 weeks before Big Bad Toy Store or Hasbro Pulse or whatever. But typically, when I go to a show like this, if this stuff is coming, I at least already know. So I had no notification that these figures are coming. And so when I saw them, I thought, oh man, these are two figures that I'm actually pretty excited about. I was very excited to get that Xandar. It's one of my big to get figures. I thought, okay, well, if they're not overpriced, I might as well get them. And I should probably get them now because I knew it would be a very popular item because they were priced at $24. I thought, well, it's not going to get any better than that, so I'm going to take Xandar and I'm going to take Leatherneck. You can keep the Saw Viper, however, because I'll just wait for him to come in the mail. That figure doesn't do anything for me at all, and it's a troop builder, so you know how I feel about that. But I wanted these two figures badly. I went and got them, and then I thought I better go tell Jaren because I don't think these are going to make it. This is unless I'm grossly mistaken. As a matter of fact, I go one row over to look for Jaren. Hey, there's another Xandar and another Leatherneck. These guys have a lot of classified figures. They're priced at $50 each. So now I definitely know I'm onto something. So I sussed out Jaren, and I'm like, hey, I don't want to tell you to spend your money, but I know this is what you're looking for, and I know this is your whole thing. You should probably grab them before it's too late. We go back over there. They're cleaning them out, dude. They're taking, there's dudes buying multiples off the shelf. I was like, somebody... I was right. It was happening. Yeah. Jaren, so what did you get from him?
So from him, I was going to get all three that you had just mentioned.
Yeah.
But as we're walking down the aisle and you're telling me, because I'm like, I'll probably, maybe, and then I'm like, maybe not. Some dude is like, scraping all of the Saw Vipers.
My gosh.
Oh, okay. So, from him at that point in time, I actually only got the Xandar.
Okay.
Because he had already sold I think I got and Leatherneck actually at that, and with him. I think I got Xandar and Leatherneck. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, these are two of my, I don't know, I think I had 9 figures that I was like, I need to get these.
Yeah.
And it was right off the bat and you mentioned it a little bit. I'm trying to not spend retail as much as possible.
Right. You're actually trying to go above and beyond. You're trying to get them, and you're trying to get them at less than retail costs.
Yes, but it's worked. I've got the Stinger at 30% off. I got the Night Creeper at 30% off. I got the HMS at 30% off. Like, I've been able to do it because I'm like, yeah, I'll just wait. Like, it's especially having these shows, knowing when they're coming, it gives me that like buffer. Like, outside of exclusives and things like that, I can be like, I know I'm gonna like. You are going to see every classified figure at this show. You're going to. Some of them might be outrageous. I saw a vamp there. Was it $220? Absolutely, it was.
I did not see that, but hot dog.
Yeah. I did not buy it, obviously, but it was there. But for the most part, I've got a couple vendors I know, not to get too far ahead, but that I know that sell them at a pretty good price. So I know I'll be able to at least get them. And as they get older, the price goes down. So I'm like, well, if I have to wait until now July to go and get these other ones I've missed, I know I'll get them for 15, maybe 20. And so it's, and because I know the vendors, they know me, they normally cut me a little bit of a deal as well, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the camaraderie goes a long way in general in these shows. Anybody that that I know by name that I've named on this show has always taken care of me.
Yeah.
Not because of the show, just because I
take the time.
We just hang out. I consider them to be my friends. We'll talk about this in a later episode because we got to stay on target. But I'd love to talk more about this journey that you're on and how you're keeping track of it all. All right, I'm going to go and actually get into my recent acquisitions picture. So I'm going to work left to right, and this way I make sure I don't really miss anything. I did forget to take a picture of stuff, but I remembered to bring it here. So starting at the very side, it just happens to be that I talked about the two things that are on the very left. Those are the only two classified figures I picked up. My backlog is actually pretty good. I need that Python Patrol wave, and I like Jaren. I'm looking for it at a great discount because I only need it for a completionist set because they're the only ones I'm missing, I think. It's hard for me to keep up if it's not something I really want. But I got those two. That bike that's directly beneath them and that classified devilfish that's to the right was gifted to us from our friend Patrick Davis, who is a 3D printing extraordinaire. He gave both of us a classified scale devilfish that he created. And he
also gave
us... Yeah.
I've got mine assembled and... Well, he assembled it for me, if we're being completely honest.
It's really cool.
Look at this thing.
Yeah, man. Perfect size.
It's beautiful.
Perfect size vehicle. He offered to make me a Wolverine. I absolutely am going to take him up on that because I love Cover Girl.
Look at that scale. He can actually stand there on it.
He also gave us a little light box that is like a DIY. You put some lights in it. I did start assembling that. I'm hoping to get it up here somewhere. And of course, he just gave it to us. Patrick is such a nice guy. If you've ever listened to the episode he's on, you listen to any episode where we meet up with him. He's just such a giving and friendly guy. Thank you, Patrick. We love you, buddy. You're such a great dude. This stuff will be an excellent addition. I love 3D printed stuff, and especially stuff that's creative like this. And I got that back. You can see that back is kind of a light shade of purple. I was like, that's a perfect Dreadnought color. So I'm going to put that in my display case.
Mine's got like this two-tone shade. It's really cool.
Like they look awesome. Color. Joel got one also. Yeah. These take a lot of time. Material cost aside, it's very generous of him. One of the very last things I bought at the show, I was debating on it right up until the very end. And of course, if I have money left, I feel compelled to spend it. So I bought this busted armor bot. I bought this from G.I. Jason, who is a Whatnot seller that I periodically shop from. And I talked him down from $50 to $40 because I have an armor bot. I actually got an armor bot at an earlier Kentuckiana show. But it has a busted arm. The arm that fires the missiles, not the grabby arm, is broken on mine. So my hope was that I could somehow, merge the two to make one pretty good armor bot. Unfortunately, as soon as we got out the door, the whole arm came off. The pegs were broken in it, and I just did not inspect it thoroughly because that's something I'm very notorious for doing. I don't like pulling on 25-year-old pieces of plastic. They break if you look at them too hard. So I don't know. I don't technically need that part of the arm. It's the part that fires the missiles that doesn't work on mine. I don't know if that surgery is feasible or which one I should even work on making the most salvageable. But I guess that's a story for another day. I got this armor bot for $40. If I can't do anything with it, I'll paint it and customize it and glue it somehow. It'll end up doing. I'll do something with it. And that was a good price. That was probably half of what I paid for the one I got, even though that one is in better shape. It has, all the missiles, I think. It's missing the battery cover on the bottom, but whatever. It probably doesn't do electronic stuff anymore anyway. There's a Spider Woman at the very bottom there you might see. So Jaren introduced me to a vendor friend of his at the last show. His name is Craven the Toy Hunt. And he's a very, very nice guy, and he's always really enjoyable. Yeah, always really enjoyable to talk to. The last time we had seen him, it was like his first time tabling ever, and he's really grown as a vendor. He had a lot of handmade signage that I thought was really flashy. They brought a lot of stuff that was kind of outside tertiary toy stuff, comic books, graphic novels, puzzles, but they were all really, really cheap. And my daughter had tasked me with buying superheroes for her and I to play with, and I was like, yeah, okay, absolutely. G.I. Joe's would be my top priority, and she prefers the 6-inch scale stuff, but 6-inch scale stuff.
Kid.
She's still her brain's still developing, so the jury's still out. So 6-inch scale superhero stuff isn't very cheap, or it wasn't there, but he did have this one, and it was brand new when I bought it. This Spider Woman, Jessica Drew, and it was only $8. I was like, $8, brand new, okay. And it's a female hero, which is going to go over well with my daughter. So I thought, all right, I'll get this if nothing else. And like I said, he had a bunch of other little stuff that they had. I don't know where it came from, but it looked like maybe stuff that they had bought and was just like stuff you'd put in your yard sale, basically. There was a Brian O'Malley graphic novel that if I didn't own, I would have bought. But I bought this Marvel puzzle that's on the far right. It's like a bunch of Thor covers, and it makes a big image of Thor. It was unopened for $5. I thought, okay, yeah. Why not? He also, in addition to that puzzle, he also had the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Death's Head, which is what you're seeing in the very middle, which I actually have right here. He was also brand new, and this was $40 brand new when it came out, and he had it brand new for $30. And this is something that I wanted. When it came out, it was whatever G.I. Joe came out for that con. I was like, I gotta have this. Maybe I can get this later, and then it never happened. Joel picked it up, and so I got to see a little bit more detail on it, and I loved it. Death's Head is just one of those weird Marvel characters. He was big in the Marvel UK, but as a young comic book reader, there was a miniseries called Death's Head 2. I don't know how I came into possession to it. It was also a UK comic, but I remember I read it a lot, and so I remember this character. Joel has a whole speech about how Death's Head works into the G.I. Joe universe because he met somebody. He was introduced in Doctor Who. You'd have to hear it from him because I would butcher it. But anyway, so it was $10 less than retail. It was brand new. I was like, I'm going to get this because I did really want it, and I probably couldn't get it for that price. I didn't feel like. Even if I could, it was too good to pass up. Did I get anything else from them? Just some little stuff. I bought a lot of, there's some crappy McDonald's toys that I bought for my daughter because she's really big into Sonic the Hedgehog. So I got a bunch of McDonald's. Todd sells a lot of old McDonald's toys, and somebody else had some too. Oh, these guys did. So I bought a couple of those little knickknacks. That brings me to about my halfway point before I talk about all these figures. So, Jaren, I'm going to flip it over to you. You could start wherever you want. Just talk about some stuff that you got.
Yeah, so like I said, I went into it like, okay, I've got a checklist of, a handful of classified that I that I'm trying to find. And so the biggest ones, the ones that I really wanted were Raptor, the 60th anniversary, those are like the ones that I was like, I want to track down, right? Like that have been out, that people have. And then I was like, and if I can find the newer wave, great, excellent. So I picked up the two that we had talked about, the Xandar and the Leatherneck. I didn't get Alpine because I thought I had an Alpine, and now that I'm here, I don't think I have an Alpine. But, I mean, it is what it is. I'll be okay with
put him on the list for next time.
Yeah, tracking him down late at a later point. So I finished my lap after the ones that I grabbed from that gentleman, and kind of kept walking around, right, and just doing it past the people that had them for 50. You know, those. So actually, like, I talk to them all the time, and I'm sure they probably sold them towards the end of the day because they were the last ones with them, for, you know, or at least could have sold them at the end of the day, but. Not to me, because I don't even want to pay retail, baby. So it's crazy how far we've come in this line. Because I remember paying extra for so many of these figures that are now just up here.
You and me both.
But anyway, and then I went ahead and I went to another buddy of ours and bought some more classified figures. And it was one of those ones where I'm like, I know this guy will give me a good deal. And let's see what he has. And I talked to him, and as a vendor, he said, hey, and, you know, this year I'm trying something a little different. Instead of bringing 50 of each figure, like, I'm going to bring way less and hopefully go a little more wide instead of deep for what I have. So hopefully that went
Makes
well.
sense.
I look forward to talking to him and kind of figuring out which way kind of worked for him. So from this friend of mine, I got the two of the Iron Grenadiers. I got the, you know, actually now that I think about it, I might have got Leatherneck from him. I think I only got the Xandar from the first guy. Got the Iron Grenadiers and Leatherneck, and then I got the 260th anniversary figures that I needed from him, which he actually only had one of each. So that was when I was like, need to go ahead and pull the trigger right now. Because
I know you really like
didn't
those.
see many people with those, which was surprising.
Me either. Not even the older ones.
I thought I would see more of those, but I didn't. And I
It's
got those
almost
all
like
for.
it's almost like they're on nobody's top 10 list ever, Jaren.
It's almost like everyone wants them, and they bought all of them. No one's selling them.
That's
They're
actually
so excited to have them.
That's actually an exceptional counter argument. I have no follow up.
Can't wait till we do our top 10 list next year, because I know where they're going to be.
Yeah,
Never
great.
wanted to. No, so I actually really do like those, as a side note. But,
Yes.
you know, and I was able to get a great deal. I mean, I got all of those for less than retail, which, I mean, for a 30, I think they were 35 regular retail, to not have to pay that, I'm okay with that, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I got those, and that was like all I bought, right? Like those classifieds. That's most of all I got. I did go back actually to the first gentleman after he restocked, or after he continued to stock, because like Greg said, he will continue putting stuff out well into the show and continue to price things well into the show. And right before we ended the night, before we left, I grabbed the Steel Brigade and the Immortal, whatever his name is, this guy.
Iron Grenadier Commander, I think. I actually have no idea what his name is. That isn't. Shadow Guard. Sorry.
Yeah, but I think it's called like Shadow Immortal or something, right?
I can't keep up,
they had
man.
to change some name. Anyway, whatever this guy is, he's super cool, super dope, and I love him. And if he wasn't in a 2-pack, I would have more of him. And that's not a slight against the Iron Grenade or the Steel Battalion guy. He's actually the best one that we have. It's just he's okay, and he's awesome.
Yeah,
But I don't want to have to buy more okay figures to get the awesome one.
I agree with that. I just don't want a troop build. I don't like troop building variations. Like, I just want to troop build Crimson Guards. I don't want. But he does look great. I'm not denying that at all.
Yeah, I would troop build that guy before I troop build the regular ones. Honestly, I love it.
like
the soft good cape. So
yeah,
cool.
it's a changing a variation on a classic troop is it's a tough sell for me. I like the like 4 or 5 like core groups that I troop build. I like they're a very specific style. Tell me,
Don't touch my toys. Don't change their color.
I know that's unusual for a GI Joe fan to like things exactly the way they've always been, but with the like really foundational ones, the Vipers and that. Sorry, we're getting off track. What else?
You're good. So I also grabbed a Saw Viper and then a Raptor, of course. I got him as well. So that knocked off like almost all my classifieds, except for now I need an Alpine. But for what has been released and what I'm buying, I passed up on the, much to Patrick and Barkley's chagrin, the newer Storm Shadow. But that's because right in here somewhere, oh, there he is. Right in there, there's like 4 Storm Shadows that I'm like,
yeah,
cool. I don't need a 5th, you know.
But it's good guy Storm Shadow.
Yeah, sure. Then I'd have to put them on this shelf instead of this shelf, and then it would get all kinds of hairy and just difficult, you know.
I don't have any.
If you're bad, stay bad. If you're good, stay good. Don't switch teams. That's hard for me to keep track of. And then I got to worry about which shelf you go on. But yeah, so that's more than my halfway.
Okay.
But I'm going to talk about the other things that I got too. So.
Okay. So something that's not in the picture that I'll show you right now. Jaren, one of the great things I love about this is that I was like, make sure to both of us, make sure you take a haul pic so we have it to show everybody. And both of us have new stuff that we can't show new anymore because we opened it up like immediately.
Yeah.
Like you were opening stuff up in the car before we were even going home. I just think that's fun. So I haven't talked about this a lot because it's not a G.I. Joe thing, but I've been collecting this Joy Toy Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles line, which if you've not seen, they're amazing. They're so detailed. It's just like a great design. I don't know if it represents a particular era of Ninja Turtles, but I love them. And I bought the 4 turtles because I really wanted them. I thought if these deliver, I'll look into the other stuff. And because I've been buying a lot of the Hiya G.I. Joes and having them imported, this is a similar deal. You can't buy these in the States, not directly, it doesn't seem like. But I've had luck from getting them from an importer. So I'm going to go back. I'm ready to talk about the second half, and a big part of the second half also comes from Jimbo. Jimbo has like a bunch of bins of loose figures. He customizes a lot, maybe more than anybody I've ever seen. And so he always seems to have figures, just loads of loose figures for whatever reason. And so he's got a bunch of Zombie Lab figures. He's got a bunch of just like random, just random 1/18 scale figures. Hiya, Joy Toy, DC, Marvel, a lot of. He also buys a lot of imported stuff because he had a lot, which was very cool. And so I'm talking to him and just like looking through all the bins. I find a couple things here and there. I'm like, you maybe don't remember me, but I'm the dude that always ends up like buying your bin on almost every show. I'm like, you're one of the dudes I'm most interested in looking for. I said, you usually have this crazy bin. He stops me and he's like, that's all you had to say is crazy bin. He pulls out this big plastic tub and I open it up and it's got, 100 figures in it. Nothing's priced, which is my one big pet peeve. I'm just like, how much? He's like, oh, they're all different prices. Okay, I'm not made of money. I can't just, if I just buy what I want, I won't have enough. I need to know what my budget is. And he has a lot of superhero figures. And even though they're 1/18 scale, I promised my daughter I would look. And I have been looking specifically for 1/18 Marvel Universe figures for her for a while. But because they don't make them any longer, maybe just because it's Marvel, they're kind of expensive for what's going to happen to them. My kid is rough with toys. So he has some. I thought, well, this is a definite get. And I'm not going to talk about them too much, but you can see them in the picture here. I found a Cyclops, a Deadpool, a Wolverine, a Spider-Man, a Green Goblin, an Iron Man, a Beast, and some weird Iron Man 3 drone from Hammer Industries, which we had to like Google lens it because I was just like, oh, she'll like this. It's a bad robot. And she does. It's cool. It is a cool robot. And then I also got directly beside that drone that's a Solomon Grundy. I didn't know this,
I was wondering if that's who it was.
I didn't know. Yeah, and he has knives all in his back, and you can take those knives out individually, and the knife that he's holding is stored in his back.
That's cool.
That apparently I don't know if it's Hiya or Joy Toy, but they also do a 1/18 DC toy line, and so I kept picking them out only to find out that they were all import, and they were kind of expensive, and the detail on them I didn't think was there. I wish I could have got that Harley Quinn because she loves Harley Quinn, but all these figures you see, I think I paid all the Marvel figures, superhero figures, were like $10 a pop, and I thought, okay, that's pretty good, and I get to pick them and take them home today. There's a couple other little guys here that I picked out as well. This robot that's in the middle beside Deadpool, we also searched, and he's from Warhammer. I don't know anything about him except he's another cool-looking skeleton robot, and it's actually an excellent figure. Beside him, there was some generic girl. Looks like that's maybe from the Zombie Lab series. She has a Santa Claus shirt on, but I thought good civilian. At the last show, when I bought that bin from him, I ended up with again, probably Hiya, Alien and Predator in 1/18 scale, which I didn't have. And I just bought them because I was like, oh, cool, a 1/18 scale, movie property. Interesting. Well, he had some different stuff, and since I'm kind of on a roll, and I do really like them, I bought this RoboCop, and then on the far end, I bought Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I was just like, well, this is too cool to pass up. And I think all of that stuff was also $10 a pop, which for those imports is a very, very good deal. The thing that's not pictured that also came from Jimbo is he had opened but complete, like in the box. The only thing that was wrong was that the seal had been removed, literally. And it's this Shredder and Foot Soldier from that same TMNT line, which I wanted very badly. I had almost ordered many times. He had them in person. Like I said, they were complete. I do not know what this guy is doing. Why you would open them, do nothing with them. Maybe you didn't like them. I didn't seem that way. But anyway, they were both $10 less than I could have gotten them before shipping. So they were like $25, which is at least $10 less than retail. So that was a no-brainer. I already wanted them. I had been trying to order them up to this. I am going to continue to collect this line because they've already shown a Bebop, a Rocksteady, a Splinter, a April. We'll maybe get into some like Mighty Mutanimals territory where we get some like really obscure characters. It's just a solid line, and I can't back away from it now because I like it so much. So I was stoked to see that. I was not as stoked to see that he also had all 4 of the turtles complete loose. I could have got a swimming deal on that, I'm sure, but there was absolutely no reason for me to buy them a second time after I'd already paid a full, too much, over $100 for the 4. So it was expensive. Almost everything else I got was from him, really. There's it's not a reindeer. It might just be like a buck or elk or something. But there was like one of those things with antlers. He had one of those in there. I think it was like 15. That was another thing I saw, and it was like, my kid will love this. My kid got as much stuff this year as I did, which is great. I mean, honestly. So as I'm wrapping up this deal, he's got 2 big bags of figures, and you can see them packaged here. There's 8 of these robot dudes, which I'm told are from RoboCop, if I remember. And there's 6 of these like dark ninjas. Again, a Hiya Joy Toy, I think. Haven't done my research on them, but I saw them both and was like, whoa, both excellent troop builders. And I thought if I could get a good... when I saw the robots, did I already mention I think they're from RoboCop? I think I did. Yeah. Very honest. Okay. I saw them and immediately was like, I have an idea on what I would use these for in my G.I. Joe universe. So I set them to the side. And so I can't remember what he quoted me on the loose figures. I put a lot back too, because he was like, I had like a Boss Fight Studio figure or something. He's like, this is like $35. And I was like, no, not even for B. It'd have to be something I really, 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 really wanted. So I got all these cheapy guys. I'm like, what are we at? He does some math. I put some stuff back. I'm like, okay, I'm at a good place. Before we seal the deal, how much do you want for these ninjas, and how much do you want for these cyborg dudes? So for the ninjas, there were 9 of them. I think, and I gave one to Joel. Yes, there were 9, and I gave one to Joel. But for the 9, he's like $50. $50 for 9 identical cool robots. Joel was helpful to point out that they're a little janky. They're kind of loose and wobbly, but 9 figures for $50 is a steal. And in my mind, I was like, I'll figure out a way to make them useful, even if they're just like robot display in the background or something. So I was like, done. That's a crazy good deal. These 6 ninjas, I was like, okay, we're still cooking. These guys, who are all different, they all belong to the same series, but it doesn't seem like any of them are identical. I'm like, how much for this bag of 6 cool ninjas? And he's like, $40. You got it, champ. So I know that's a very aggressive deal considering what he's charging for some of the individual ones. Total cost of all figures that I just named from this dude, $230, which I thought was a pretty darn good deal for what I got. It's a huge chunk of my everything that I bought. Okay, so wrapping up, the last thing I got was, I'll do a double check and make sure I'm not missing anything. But we shopped with Distro's Toy Den. I always go there, even though he's such a negative Nancy. He normally has a bunch of like shells, loose parts, random stuff. It can be a little difficult to get into, but he had expanded and has a bunch more of like trays that you could go through. So I went through those mostly Friday night because Saturday was really too busy to get in there, and found some stuff, some good stuff, and some just stuff that's useful for me. I bought a lot of diorama stuff. I know I talk about this all the time, but that's what I'm looking for, and those are the best places to find them. Just little like watchtowers, maybe not even necessarily G.I. Joe. I like to buy a lot of abstract pieces that just you don't really know what it's from. And because I feel like that works to my favor, I can put it in the background and it just looks like computer stuff. So I bought a handful of that type of stuff. These 2, Air Patrol, Sky Patrol. Nope, one of them. These 2 little gliders on the end. I found both of those in the bins. One of them has a broken gun, but the other was complete. And so I thought, and I need those. I probably still need them in better shape, but I was like, these are going to get destroyed. I'll take them, and at least as placeholders. Now, 2 things I saved for the end are the things that I was the most excited about. The very top of this, above all my figures, you can see a mobile command center elevator, which it's been on my want list forever. And if you can believe it, that's an unbroken and unwarped mobile command center windshield, which I really, really, really wanted, because mine is both of the things I just mentioned. One of the tabs is broken, and I had passed on many, many, many other windshields because one of those tabs was broken. So I understand it is clearly a hard to get complete part. And mine is warped, so the windshield doesn't even like close correctly. And you see that a lot with this plastic. So I was very excited to see that. I can replace my existing one finally, and my mobile command center is only missing like 2 things, and it will be 100% complete. That elevator is a hard piece to buy because the shipping is expensive because of its unusual size. So that might have been my most exciting pickup of the whole show, quite honestly. Wasn't expecting to see it, and I'm really excited to complete that mobile command center because it's such a rad vehicle. I think that's everything that I actually bought. If I've forgotten something, then it probably wasn't that cool. All right, Jaren, let's tell me about these other things that you purchased. These other strangers.
So kind of as a counterpoint to saving money on classified figures, I decided to dip my toe into the world of Mezco, and it's something that I've only had 2. I have the X-Force Wolverine, and I have the Robert Pattinson Batman, the Batman. But those the soft goods on those figures is just so incredible. So our friends at the Marauders booth, they know me. They know my weakness. They always make it a point to bring something cool. I've bought a Hot Toys from them in the past. I've bought a Mezco's from them in the past. So they knew how to tempt me. So this year, funny enough, the only non-Joe character that we both bought this weekend is Cyclops.
Oh, yeah.
Bum, bum, bum. So I've been trying to figure out how I want to pose him and all that stuff. But I just started getting into X-Men. To veer off of G.I. Joe for a little bit, I apologize. If you want to skip forward a minute or so, go ahead. Feel free. My feelings won't be hurt. I started watching X-Men 97 and loved it. And then I've been starting to dive into the comic books of the X-Men. So I was raised as a DC character or DC fan. That's why I've got the tons of McFarlane here. I've just always been a DC guy. I am current on a lot of the DC comic books coming out. I love comics, but I never really delved into the X-Men or the greater Marvel universe. So I am now jumping back into it. They had a X-Men 97 book that I read that was really good, but now I'm veering off into all kinds of right now. I read a Moon Knight series the other day just because I was like, hey, you know what? I liked that show. It wasn't as bad as people say. So, so that was the one that I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. But my favorite thing that I got, the thing that Greg said, I was opening a package. I was opening it before we even left. I was like in my car. We were waiting to go to lunch, and I was like, I've got 30 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and start playing with this thing. Is the other Mezco that I bought from our friends at the Marauders booth. It's the Christopher Reeve Superman. I mean, check him out.
Great
check that
figure.
likeness out. And it comes with the Fortress of Solitude, like a set piece that lights up, and these little bitty crystals that you can put into the Fortress of Solitude. So you can either turn the Fortress of Solitude on all the way to where it lights up, or you can turn it on to where when you put those in, it lights up, which is really cool. And, I mean, I just showed my kids the movie with Christopher Reeves. Mm-hmm. And my 4-year-old son was like,
I bet.
The whole time, like glued. And we watch movies all the time. And there's not been another movie, honestly, like, I'm not exaggerating. There's not been another movie where he has just been so in awe. Like, just like, it was that, I think one of the original taglines was like, you'll believe a man can fly. Like, it was like that for my son. Like, it was the first time he had seen it. And he's seen other superhero movies, but there was just something about the magic of that. And so now I have this that I'm like, And I just watched the documentary of Christopher Reeves. Like, I'm just on a high of it. And now I have that. Dude, it's so cool. And, like, yeah, is it going to make it to where I'm going to have to get more Mezcos? Yeah, definitely. But if they all are as excellent as that one, I'm not going to be too mad about it.
Yeah, I can't fault you if you're going to pick. I mean, this or Power of the Force figures feels like a no-brainer. So I'm not going to give you any. I mean, I love the Mezco.
Hold on 3 seconds. Maybe more than 3. It's never too far from me, Greg.
Oh, Lord.
It's never.
It should be. It should be as far as possible. It's not far enough away from me right now. I love the Mezco G.I. Joes, and I don't have all of them. I try to get them when it's financially viable because they're great. They are really, 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 really exceptional. So, yeah, worse things for you to be into than that.
Yeah.
Lastly, as we prepare to wrap up, I want to tell a great story about while we're on the floor. Jaren and I are with Joel, our buddies from Podcast from the Pit are there. Patrick and Barkley are there. It's like a big circle of us on the floor, and we're just chatting and going out about it. This gentleman approaches us, and he approaches Jaren specifically, and recognizes him from the show. He's like, hey, I just want you to know that I brought you something. I'm a big fan of this show. It's a gift. It's in this Hall image of Jaren's, and it's like, I didn't get to look at it as close as you did, but my understanding is it's a repainted X-Wing. Is that what those are called? Just kidding.
Yeah.
What they're called.
Yeah. Okay.
But it has, it has G.I. Joe. It has G.I. Joe decals on it, and it's awesome. And was, we were both so like stunned. We do get recognized more than I would expect for as small of a show as we are. and so it always takes us a little bit to react. But
Yeah.
when I figured out what was going on, I wasted no time bleeping on it because it was such a perfect moment to be where everybody was there, and I could just be like, "Oh yeah, come on in, fan of the show." And me in front of all these other podcasters and people, like it was just a perfect moment where I was like, "Soak it all in. We're the popular ones, baby." It was awesome. These guys' names were Eddie and Larry. Eddie runs a customizing business called Silverback Customz, which we'll link to in this show description. He was such a nice guy. He had such nice things to say, and he gifted me something as well, and I'm really over the moon about it. If you guys aren't familiar with this vehicle, it's the Lightyear vehicle that came out from the Buzz Lightyear movie. And I actually bought one of these for the exact purpose of hoping to customize it. So when he pulled this out, I recognized it immediately and was like, "Oh, dang, that's actually not only something that I recognize, it's something that I wanted. You've done something that I probably would have never done with my own. And the amount of stuff I buy to do stuff with that never happens is insurmountable." And so he was like, "Yeah, this is for you, man. And I'm just here to tell you that I'm so blown away by the acts of kindness by people that are listeners of the show. It's always, for somebody to just come up and say, 'Hey, I really like your show,' is a really big deal for us. We make no money off this, and I'm sure you guys know that. We do not monetize anything. I do not ask you guys for anything. I pay out of my pocket the production costs that are required, and I do it happily because I love doing this. And I don't think I ever will need any more payment than someone coming up to me and just saying, 'Hey, I really like what you guys do,' or 'I'm a big listener of your show.'" These guys were like, "We've listened to your entire catalog 3 times through." That's a whole lot of my annoying voice to go through. But this was a work of creativity. It takes a lot. If you've ever customized anything, it takes time and it takes heart. Like, you want it to look good because you're proud of your work. So please understand how significantly impactful it was to get a gift from a fan. I truly and genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, feel humbled about it. It energizes what I do to know that there are people that it matters to, quite frankly. If that outpouring of love and appreciation doesn't nail it home, I'll give you a customizer the greatest gift that I would ever want as a customizer. When I showed this to my daughter, she was immediately like, "Oh yes, I know what to do with that." And so your great design, it will be played with, the greatest of all treatments for toys by adults and children alike. So again, thank you so much.
Everything you said, absolutely, 100%. And it's so incredible because it was so sincere too. Like, he literally was just so happy to be like, "Hey, first off, he's talented, incredible, did a great job on these." But not only was it, "I made something for you," it's, "I made something that I know you both would like." Like, for me, it was a Star Wars figure or vehicle painted in G.I. Joe colors. And the funniest part is he's like, "Also, I know Greg doesn't like Star Wars." So it was like that little joke. Like, it was like that moment we got to share. Like, that laugh and moment we got to have together was incredible. And, like, when I think about this show, like, how blessed I am to be a part of it and to be basically invited into this world of G.I. Joe and the collector, this group. And now when we go to shows like this, now we have those people that we can talk to. You know, we mentioned Wreck Ship, Patrick and Barkley, the boys from the pit, Matt and Casey, plus Hillbilly. You know, we've got these people. There's another gentleman that I forgot his name again, but we met him at the last show that we were at. You know, like, there's so many people that just a quick hey, but then like, hey, you know, we go out to eat with some of the people, you know, like, and it's just like this community that we have. And for him to take the time, for Eddie to take the time to like customize something that he knew that I would like. I mean, first off, I was awkward as all get out because it was just like, holy cow, dude, like, that is,
yeah.
I couldn't think of a better way to show a person in our community how much you care. Like, I'm going to use my talent, which, once again, he's incredible at. I'm going to use my talent to make something that I know you are going to enjoy. And now, for me, like, I just have to figure out where I'm going to put it. Not from, like, oh, no, I have to make space, but, like, do I put it here, which is great, or do I take it to work so I can tell everybody, I met a friend who made this for me? Like, how cool is that? And, like, to be able to foster that kind of community, I think that's really part of the reason why all of us are into this hobby, is that community aspect. Like, when you were a kid playing on the playground and you brought your Joe and he had his Star Wars figure and the other guy had a He-Man, and you guys were just running around playing. And this is our continuation of that now as adults that are still in that, trying to recapture some joy. So seriously and sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. That is incredible.
Yes. In summary, thank you for listening, for playing with us, just for hanging out, generally speaking. That's going to do it for us today. We'll be back in 2 short weeks with more. I still got a ton of stuff. We haven't talked about the G.I. Joe compendium that I got in from Skybound. We're a couple issues behind the comic. We got a lot of stuff rolling out. So we'll see what happens. The unpredictability of the show is really becoming a staying point. You can reach us on most social media at Anything Joe's Pod. You can email us at anythingjoespod or anythingjoespodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Leave a comment. Tell us about a show you've been to recently. Did you see something that we bought that you love, hate, or we overpaid for? Go ahead, put it in there. You can't price shame me. I'm an idiot with my money. You can find my new weird computer music about G.I. Joe characters on all streaming music services. It's called File Cards Volume 2, and it's completely free everywhere. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk to you again in just 2 short weeks, where anything's available for discussion here on Anything Joe's.
One hand for a knife, no time for the runway. She sat on the field. We see those big blue eyes. You know your fate has been sealed. From culture to combat, she's dancing through days. No longer a model, but still a beauty to gaze. She proves with each mission that she can carry her own. She'll never retire till Cobra's dethroned. From a girl, she's more than just a dream. Charging into battle, this fighting queen. From catwalks to combat, she's breaking the mold. Uncle Sam's the only man who won't you do what she's told.